Hey everybody, off the Mike Sports Network here. Reacting to the first four. The NCAA tournament is officially underway. The first four. We're gonna have two more games tomorrow. Um, a thrilling game between Alabama State and St. Francis that came down to a last-second shot on a baseball pass or a football pass, effectively all the way down the floor. That ends up in a scrum and a layup at the buzzer or right before the buzzer. And the SWAC champion Alabama State advances over St. Francis. That was an unbelievable game. One of the great moments you'll see, and it happens in the first four. And then the second game, which is between two power teams, two teams from bigger conferences, North Carolina and San Diego State, two of the last teams into the field. And this was a butt kicking. North Carolina wins 95-68. They were almost up by 40 in this game. This was as much of an ass kicking as I've seen in this round in a minute. That being said, I'm not surprised. Carolina's talented, but let's not get it twisted. For you Carolina schmucks and all you people who are going to try and dunk on all these people and all these basketball analysts who said rightfully that Carolina did not belong in this field. They did not. They had one win against Quadrant 1. They were 1-12. Every other team that they were up against fighting to get into this tournament had at least more than one, probably at least three of all the teams that I saw. So Carolina wins. I'm not surprised. They're a talented team. They were preseason top 10. Of course, I think Carolina was going to potentially win this game. San Diego State's kind of a flawed team. They don't score a lot. And if Carolina was going to play the offensive level game that they did, scoring 90-plus points, San Diego State was going to beat them. So this is surprising. The margin itself is a little bit jarring, but here's a couple things. Number one, Carolina did not belong in this tournament. This does not validate it one bit. We have seen these constantly since the first four came into existence. Remember VCU? Nobody expected them to be in the field. And then all of a sudden they go to the Final Four. And that was the OG version of this. This happens all the time. This is North Carolina, so it's a little bit different, but I would not be surprised. This does not validate the committee at all. North Carolina did not belong in this tournament. But that being said, North Carolina could go on a run here. Like this is definitely a dangerous team. And this was a message sent by the Tar Heels, Hubert Davis, RJ Davis. They don't want to go home anytime soon. They're going to get on a bus. They're going to go to Milwaukee. I think they're going to Milwaukee. I can't remember where they are. But the point is, they're getting on a bus to go to a different city to go continue their run in the NCAA tournament. And, you know, if the Cards play their way, I absolutely think they could beat Ole Miss. This 6-11 game, that's a coin flip game. You see upsets like that all the time. And then, depending on what happens, Iowa State, some people are picking Lipscomb to beat them. And Iowa State doesn't have their second best player. So Carolina could potentially get to the second weekend. All that said, go back to my initial point to start this off. None of what happens in this tournament, the fact that Carolina got in, none of this changes the fact that they don't belong. They didn't belong in the tournament. Both things can be true. That North Carolina, a power conference team from the ACC, by the skin of their teeth got in, and nefarious actions or whatever with their athletic director being the selection committee chair. Something did not sit right, and everybody who has spoken outright about it and said they don't belong in the tournament, they were right. And people, I've heard arguments, you're not going to leave Carolina out. It's like, and I can understand that, but they didn't belong in this field. Then there was a reason they were in Dayton. They got a favorable matchup. I'm not surprised that they won. But like I said, none of this changes anything from what happened on Selection Sunday. Congratulations, North Carolina. No matter what they do, it's a great point for their season. But we have seen this constantly in March Madness. And this is what makes March Madness great. You see runs that you don't expect. Teams making runs through their conference tournaments and stealing their way into the field. This was literally not even a bid steal. It was they didn't steal it. They kind of stole a bid, but it was given to them by the selection committee. It wasn't an automatic qualifier. But I'm not going to have it with Carolina fans or the media types who are just trying to be contrarians, trying to justify this and saying, ha, we told you they belonged in the tournament. If you guys were watching the games, for most of the year, and a lot of people don't start watching college basketball until the end of February. Carolina was not one of the 68 teams that belonged in this tournament. There, if you want to try and give me a good argument for why, like the best argument I've heard is it's North Carolina, and that's not a good argument from a basketball perspective for what and how the NCAA committee is supposed to evaluate teams to put them into this field. It is on resume, and all the teams that they beat out to get into this spot, they had a worse resume against the best teams. That's what quadrant one is. The best opposition. They played a tough schedule. I think they played 12 or 13. They won one of those games. It was against UCLA. They've only beaten 2 tournament teams. One of them was American, and that's an automatic qualifier from a smaller league. This was not a team based off of the whole body of work that belonged in this tournament. But they had a run at the end of the season. They were near the edge of it. They got the benefit of the doubt because of the name on the front of the jersey, which I don't like. And they got in and they won by 27 points tonight. Congratulations. You won that. I think you've got a really good shot at beating Ole Miss. And I think you also maybe have a good chance of beating Iowa State or Lipscomb, depending on how that gets out. So this team could get to the second weekend. This team could get to the second weekend. And then however the hell that shakes out, I think Auburn's on that side. Like, that would be fascinating to see this North Carolina team. Because remember, they were an 8 seed. I think they were an 8 seed a couple years ago when they went all the way to the championship game with Hubert Davis as the head coach and RJ Davis as the lead guard. They're still around. Like, it's a crazy situation, but this is what March does. March Madness is really great, and you just see teams like an improbable run with North Carolina, and them getting the benefit of the doubt, and now being in this situation. But again, I will say it again for like about the 100th time. That doesn't mean that they deserve to be in the tournament. So anybody trying to just be like a tough guy or just a tough guy here trying to, act like you knew what you're talking about, you don't. Congratulations, they won. North Carolina, we'll see what they can do the rest of the way. Congratulations to Hubert Davis and that team. It'll be interesting to see, man. It's good for college basketball, that's for damn sure. So anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.